We got two things to review today, and I'm making the very ill-advised decision to start with the good one. I should probably flip it around so that I leave on a high note, but I really just want to go ahead and talk about this right now. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
Welcome back to This Week in Marvel. We are talking about the finale to Falcon and Winter Soldier, although we're also going to basically kind of cover the entire season, just our final thoughts on everything. And, it's weird. This is Peaches biting your fingers, in case people are wondering why you jumped.
Stop being a butt, Peach.
It's not This Week in Marvel unless Peach starts it off by whining in our laps. Yeah, it's weird. This episode, when I look around online, this is getting the most praise. Like, I've seen the most love for this episode. I have seen people just losing their minds over this episode. However, it's the worst reviewed episode. Like, I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes list, like, episode by episode, and, like, every episode before this was, like, 90 to 100. Like, somewhere between 90 and 100. This one has a 56%, and I'm like, how? And all I can think is that the tone is very different in this one because this was so action-heavy. But I'm just like, well, yeah, it's action-heavy. It's the third act of a superhero thing. Mm-hmm. They're going to go into action. Like, the entire point of this was that, like, everything in this was all the weight on Sam's shoulders of having to be Captain America and all the tragic things that he had to consider, all the tragic things that Bucky had to go through. It was all the weight leading up to this decision. This was the decision, and I'm like, yeah, the decision to become Captain America means we're going to have more of, like, you know, a Captain America thing. How do you guys not see this going? I don't know. I don't understand. But point is, I don't really care that people didn't like this final episode. As I said, audiences seem to love it, and I'm an audience, and I love this thing. Man, as someone who, I have said this with almost every single episode, but as somebody who was a massive fan of Sam Wilson as Captain America in the comics, oh my God, this entire episode, just grinning ear to ear, just big ass smile the entire time. I do still have a few small complaints with this final episode, and I will say now that the entire season is done, there are a few things I can go like, okay, let's go back and kind of like nitpick at that here and there. But overall, yeah, it's pretty much just nothing but Sam Wilson having to prove nonstop, this is why I am Captain America. This is why I am good fit to be Captain America. And yeah, I think they nail it. I honestly believe that when you look at superhero movies and superhero TV shows, and you think about those big iconic scenes that kind of go like, they nailed that character in that moment. I think that this entire episode is that for Sam Wilson. Peach is just attacking your feet. She does not want to go down.
If I put her in my lap, she'll bite my fingers. If I put her at my...
I saw her doing that.
And if I put her down, she'll bite my feet. It's a lose-lose situation for me.
Oh, Peach. What do you think of this final episode?
I really did enjoy it. And it's like... If I feel like this is the best way I could think of to like end this series.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. It has started to me like how many things they just kind of like, I'm not gonna say nailed, but just like, all right, we need to cover this. Did that? Yep. And like, it didn't feel rushed.
No.
Like, there's a lot of things happening in here, but it didn't feel jumbled. It didn't feel like too many crazy things. The only like small complaint I have about this final episode is that I knew U.S. Agent was going to get some kind of a redemption, but like, I didn't know how much one. And I feel like they gave him too much of one. Like,
yeah.
It almost didn't feel like a redemption. It felt like a reset.
Yeah.
It felt like, yeah, because it wasn't just that he did like a horrible thing. It wasn't that he just like killed someone in cold blood 2 episodes ago. It's also that in that last episode, we saw just tons of like, this is a dude who is suffering from like massive PTSD. He has got like a lot of psychological problems that he is going through. And he kind of doesn't really show any of that in this episode, even though when he first appears, the moment that he first appears, you're just like, oh, the problem has arrived.
It's like, honestly,
he is about to just throw a matchstick into this situation.
Like, if Bucky had to, like, go through therapy and, like, face his inner demons, you know, he should have too.
Which, I mean, I'm not saying we should have gotten his therapy sessions in this final episode.
No, but it's like...
I'm saying, like, you see him being buddy-buddy with Bucky in here, and I'm like, yeah, what about that whole, like, they had to come and take your shield away because you murdered a guy? Like, how are you guys so close and being friends now?
It's like, we're best friends now. Can I have my shield back?
Okay. Start shaking Sam's hand, and it's like, okay. You can let go now. You're hurting me, John. It really, that's my one complaint with this final episode, that it's like, I feel like they were setting up a lot of interesting things with John Walker, and I did like, there is a moment in there that I really enjoyed where he has to choose between saving people and chasing down the people he's sworn revenge on, and he chooses to save people. I was like, that's good. Like, that, you want to show like there's still hope in John. You want to show there's still like humanity within him, that he actually did sign up for this to be Captain America because he actually believed in something. I was like, okay, that is a great moment in there. But again, it's just the fact that like everybody is just treating him like, yeah, you didn't do any of, like, all that stuff from the last few episodes, like, that didn't happen. Like, they're treating him the same way they treated him in episode 2. And I'm just like, yeah, that's kind of my one complaint about this final episode. But, then also, I do kind of wish that Sam had taken out Batroc. Like, it's kind of like weird to me that like he just leaves Batroc there, but I understand they needed Batroc to get into the what do you call those, Mexican showdowns where it's 3 people pointing guns at each other. You needed him to get in that scene so then Sharon could kill him, so then Sam could show up and think that was actually Flag Smasher who did. So like, okay, I understand why Sam couldn't
be. The broker, was that it, or like?
Well, the broker is Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I am interested in seeing more about that. Like, I've seen a lot of people saying, like, oh, it doesn't make any sense that, you know, Sharon, like, she disappears for 5 years and then all of a sudden, like, she comes back and she's evil. I'm just like, first off, we didn't see her for 2 years before that when she was going through hell. And secondly, did they ever say that she got blipped? Did they ever say that she got snapped out like anybody else? Like, I've been saying this entire time. I don't think she did get blipped out with anybody else. I think she'd spent 5 years in Madripoor when the world was going insane, and she basically had to become like a crime boss to try and keep some kind of a peace over in Madripoor. Yeah, I'm totally fine with what they did with Sharon Carter in here. But the big thing in here that we need to talk about is, of course, Sam himself. And this entire episode, it is just Sam, like, showing, like, yeah, I should be Captain America. And it's him, like, doing it in his... I won't say it's him doing it in his own way, but it's also, like, his suit doing, like, really special things that I kept looking at and being like, that's freaking genius. And like, Red Wing comes back, which, yeah, I kept pointing out, like, you created this little tiny thing that would be incredibly marketable. You should not just destroy that thing. But no, now he's got multiple Red Wings. And there comes a moment in which the Red Wing comes out and he starts scanning the faces of everyone in there to find someone in that helicopter who can fly the helicopter if he has to take out the villain. And I was just like, that's brilliant. That's a great thing to do. I love that he's like half Captain America, half Tony Stark now at this point. And
yeah, because I was thinking, like, I was wondering if he becomes Captain America, is he gonna keep like his wings and everything?
He should. Yeah, man.
Hey, he did the smart thing and kept both. So.
And the wings are still awesome. Like, the wings are, like, I remember when we were watching that first episode, I was like, man, the wings are really cool because they're like forming into a shield around him when people start shooting at him and stuff. That's great. The wings do even more cool stuff, and you're like, the moment the helicopter is coming down and it's like, oh, Captain America's got a shield. Well, Sam's got the wings that make him a shield. Just bam, entire shield protects that person, takes the hit from the helicopter, gets back up like nothing even happened. I love it. And I love that the wings kind of make up, the wings and the tech kind of make up for the fact that, yeah, he does not have super soldier serum. He has no, like, he's a buff dude. He can bench a lot, but he does not have the crazy superhuman abilities of a super soldier. And I love that the wings are making up for that. Like, there's a moment in which he's fighting Flag Smasher, and she's punching away at the shield, and the wings come out and then slam themselves into the ground to keep himself from being pushed back. And I was like, that's great. That's a brilliant idea. Or when he has to push up the truck that's about to fall down. Yeah, Sam doesn't have the strength to do that thing. But then the little Red Wings come on and attach onto it, and then the little jetpacks that are pushing him back up. That's really smart. I love that. I thought that was great. And there even came a moment, which you guys know me, you know I'm a big fighting game, video game fan, and there is the moment in which he was fighting Batroc, and I had thought to myself, oh shoot, if he's got the jetpack, that means he could actually do a hypercharging star from Marvel vs. Capcom. And then, like, as soon as I was forming that thought in my mind, the jetpack fires up and he goes and slams into him. I was like, he literally did the thing that I was talking about. They literally found a way to fit like a freaking Marvel move into this. I loved it. And you said that you like the suit too. Yeah, which you hadn't even seen from the comics. I'm glad to know that, like, you dug it in here. The only real problem that I have with it, though, is that you can tell they gave him, like, padding on the shoulders. Like, the shoulders have kind of like an edge to them almost. Like, they've definitely, you can see the shoulder pads in there. And also, like, the collar around the neck is a little bit thick in how it goes in there.
Well, considering he has like he has like machine wings on, it makes
true.
sense.
But my one problem with that is that when you take the thicker neck padding combined with the shoulder pads, it almost at sometimes looks like he's wearing one of those Halloween costumes that have like the big muscle paddings in there. But I mean, he doesn't. When you look at the chest, it's definitely him. When you look at like him at other angles, it's definitely all him. But there are those moments when you give him at a specific angle, and it does like look like he's got like extra padding in there, and it's just, it looks a little bit weird at times, but that's not the design of the suit. That's just like, just trim down the shoulders a little, just trim down the neck, just trim down the shoulders a little bit. And I mean, I think design-wise, it still looks great. And yeah, when it's in motion, I think it looks really damn good. Like, that is an amazing opening shot when he comes in. That is an amazing opening shot when he flies in there with the wings just spread out and throws the shield. Like, that pose is a comic book pose. That is great. But yeah, this is pretty much just all him just kind of proving why he's supposed to be Captain America. And, God, I keep wanting to call her Carly, but I know it's Kylie. That's why I've been calling her Flag Smasher this entire time, because I keep stopping him. I'm like, I know I'm about to say the wrong name. Just say the supervillain name. I love that when they're getting in that fight, he's been trying to help her this entire time. And in that final fight, he just refuses to fight her. And I love that, we've said this many times, it's very important that Captain America has a shield as his weapon, because a shield is meant to protect. It is not, by its basic design, intended for attacking. It's meant for defending. And I love that he's just there holding up the shield the entire time, just taking the hits, just refusing to fight back. And I do know why Sharon had to come in there and kill her at the end, but I kind of wish, like, you can see, like, Kylie is just kind of like, she's breaking down because he will not fight her. And the last thing she wants to do is see herself as a villain. Like, you can tell, like, when she killed Battlestar, she had that moment of, like, oh, shit. Because that was, like, her actually having to see what she had done. She had done some bad things before, but they were, like, over there, and she didn't actually have to look at that stuff. Like I mentioned in a previous episode, it's kind of like video game violence, where it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, they're not real. It's a thing that I'm just imagining over there that's happening. It's like, no, she actually had to see what she did. And you could see, like, she had that moment of like, oh shoot, I did not mean to do this. But then John killed her friend right afterwards, and you can see it was like, well, eye for an eye, like, just keep escalating this thing. And I love that Sam coming in there trying to de-escalate. You can hear just from her voice, like, she doesn't know how to deal with that, and she was like breaking down in that moment. And part of that is she's kind of having to like face like, if I'm the one who's just trying, if he's not fighting back, then what am I right now? Yeah, I really enjoy that. And I will say this about the whole Flag Smasher stuff in there. I've seen a lot of people making arguments about this show saying like, oh, well, it's trying to have the whole refugees discussion both ways, in which they're showing like, oh, well, you know, the government is doing bad things for the refugees, but yeah, look at the bad things the Flag Smashers are doing. Yeah, there's bad people on both sides here. And with this, and I could kind of understand what people were saying, but with this final episode, I still see people making that argument, and I can't agree with people making that argument now. Because, like I said, in the previous episodes, I could kind of see what people were saying, but then you literally have Captain freaking America go up to all these senators and lawmakers and go up to them and go, do not call them terrorists. No, the reason they're doing this is because of you guys. You're the ones who put them in this situation, and the things they were fighting for were not bad things. They just got so desperate because of what you did to them without a second thought. And yeah, when you have a 5-minute long speech from Captain America about how, no, you're the ones who are doing the bad things, senators and people in control, and you have the power to actually help people with this. Yeah, I can't really agree with the people still making that argument. Like, I could kind of understand their point in previous episodes, but yeah, I really think that with this final episode, they really came in here, and I think that's kind of bold that, you know, as we mentioned in previous episodes, yeah, the political messages of this series, they're pretty blunt, but it's Captain America. He's the most political figure in comics. Yeah, sometimes you need to get blunt, and out of all the superheroes out there, I would say even more than Superman, Captain America is the guy who makes speeches. And it's important that he makes speeches. And I love this ends with like a 5-minute long, very political speech from him. And I know there are going to be some people out there who are like, well, you know, you're just doing the bare minimum on this. And like, I can't agree with that. I think that it's actually like really bold how much they put in here. Could they have done more? Sure, you can always do more, but it's really impressive how much they did in here. Yeah, I was really just kind of blown away by how much they decided to put into the show. And as I said, I went around the internet. I clicked on the Falcon Winter Soldier hashtag, and I was expecting to see the same thing that I always see whenever a comic book thing comes out, which is like people loving it, people hating it, people arguing back and forth. I always saw love. I always saw people losing their mind over this, and man, it just felt good. It just felt good after years of Marvel versus DC and all this other stupid, pointless crap. To see a lot of people out there just generally like, this was great, and I love this, and I started tearing up at this moment, and I was like, I love it. I was so happy to see that. Let's see. Anything else to bring up? Oh, yeah, we haven't even talked about Bucky.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know, the other half of this equation. Man, seeing Bucky actually starting to, like, heal, it just feels good. And seeing, like, the relationship between Bucky and Sam, like, when Bucky calls him Cap there at the end, and you see, like, his eyes, like, lighting up when Sam's, like, lifting up the van, I loved it. I loved it because, A, you can kind of tell that it's part of, like, okay, he has fulfilled the thing that Steve wanted him to do. And, you know, there's that great moment in the second episode in which he's saying, like, if Steve was wrong about you, then maybe he was wrong about me. And he's kind of like, yeah, Steve was right, which means that maybe he was right about me after all. And I love that. But yeah, that moment where he goes off and calls him Cap, I thought was great. And seeing him going out and having to, like, talk to, okay, what was the guy's name from the first episode? I want to say Yuri.
I don't know.
No, wait, no, that wasn't it. I don't know. I forgot.
But, you know, the old man. Like,
the old man, yes. And he goes up to him and he starts actually telling him, and the old man asks him, why do you do that? He says, I didn't have control. It's like, that's a very important thing that he has to now admit to himself. This wasn't my fault. I was not in control of myself. It was other people making me do this. Because, yeah, he's been carrying the guilt of all the things that he had done. So, yeah, seeing him, like, drop off the book there at the end, I thought that was great. And that final moment of them just having a meal together, just like Bucky's found a family. Mm-hmm. I thought that was so good. And the final shot of the two of them just standing there, just staring off. Man, you get that final shot of them just staring off, and then it cuts to the title card, and the title card is now Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Man, which you kept pointing out that it should be Captain America and the White Wolf, and I went on the night that this show came out, I was like, okay, let me see how many people are using the hashtag Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Let me see what they're all saying. And I typed in hashtag Captain America and as soon as I did that, it popped up the White Wolf. Like, that was above the Winter Soldier. Like, people are thinking that. They definitely say that should be it.
Yeah, you mentioned that he'll get his White Wolf name in the second.
I feel like it should be in the Black Panther since that is a Black Panther character.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I did say one thing wrong. I said that White Wolf was head of Wakandan security. They're actually head of, like, their Interpol, their Black Ops division kind of thing. But still, you know, like, they're head of a big part of, like, their forces. And considering that Bucky is, like, a super trained soldier with generations of experience in him, yeah, I could see him going to Wakanda and being like, okay, well, we need you for this one mission. All right, I'm going to help you out with that.
The part I really liked was, like, when he was talking to Kylie. Like, he's like, I've been through this. You will regret this. You don't want to go through this. And it's like, yeah, he knows. Yeah,
exactly. Like, we keep talking about, like, the good stuff that Sam does with Kylie, but yeah, Bucky has, like, a lot of personal experience in there as well. Yeah, like I said, the only real small complaint that I have in this final episode is just that I feel like they drop a lot of the damage we saw going on with John. But that dude's gonna reappear, and it's gonna be like, oh, we're gonna get more of that.
Like, honestly, I thought they were gonna have, like, a second season where they deal with John Walker. Because I just felt like
he's just in the wind at the end of this, and like, okay, well, we gotta go out and find this dude now.
Yeah, it's like, because like I felt like his storyline got like wrapped up too quickly.
Yes, that's exactly what my problem was. Like, well, there's a very nice bow on all that. Yeah, so that is my one big problem with this final episode. But aside from that, I love everything in it.
You want to talk about Isaiah?
Yeah, I was literally just opening my mouth to go into that. I really, man, you want to talk about like moments that made me start to tear up? It's that moment where he goes and he shows him like, yeah, Sam pulled some strings and he got like statues up there. And like there's a big plaque that talks about Isaiah. I talk too fast and now I can't say words anymore. But yeah, there's a big plaque up there that talks about Isaiah, and he says like, now people will always know what you did. And there's that hug. It's like, man, I really like that moment. Like, again, speaking as a white guy, I don't really have like the life experience to be able to like talk about this ain't on any kind of like a personal level at all, but just in all these characters and just like somebody who's going like, yeah, this is absolutely something that needs like recognition. Man, I felt myself starting to like well up a little bit at that moment.
Same here.
Yeah, it was so emotional. I thought that entire sequence was great. The only problem that I had with that sequence was just how it was shot. Which, I mean, like, the reveal of the statue and everything is great, but you see them, like, going through the exhibit, and then, like, the way that they get to his exhibit...
They had to, like, go through all the other exhibits.
It almost kind of feels like it's like, well, if we go into this room and then go down this flight of stairs and then go back here to the end, and it's just the way that's shot. Like, I'm not saying that's how it is, because it's the same room that he and Don Cheadle were in that first episode, which I thought that was a great way to kind of, like, tie that all back around. I do kind of wish that Don Cheadle had been in here more, because I pointed this out before. In the MCU, Sam and Rhodey were both in the Air Force, and they both joined the Avengers at the same time. It's understandable the two of them would have some kind of a friendship. They would, like, talk to each other fairly often, and I'm like, well, with everything going on, especially with, like, Rhodey still being involved in the Air Force and, like, the Flag Smashers getting, like, everybody's attention, like, I feel like Rhodey should, like, call him up at some point during all of this. But yeah, I kind of wish the Don Cheadle had returned at some point, but that could have been, like, a scheduling problem, who knows.
How do you feel about the way they handled Zemo?
I love that. Oh, I love that, like, man, yeah, when, like, because at the end when the Flag Smashers are being driven off and they're like, we're going to take you to the raft, and I was like, man, there's going to be, like, 4 super soldiers still left out there. I wonder what's going to happen with them. And then it just blows up, and you see it's Zemo's butler with the detonator. I was like, oh, that's good. That is good. Yeah, that's one of the things that I like about Zemo. It's one of the things that makes him a good villain, not just in the comics, but in the MCU as well, is that he is a master planner. He is a guy who has, like, 12 different contingencies going on all the time. Like, that's great. That's great. Yeah, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed how good this villain is supposed to be. And I'm really looking forward to it, because you know they're going to use him in some kind of a Thunderbolts thing, some kind of a Dark Avengers thing. I can't wait to see what comes from that. Speaking of the Dark Avengers, U.S. Agent's costume looks exactly like it does in the comics, and it looks just fine. I thought it looked great. Yeah, really enjoyed that. Again, it's kind of like, man, they just wrapped it up, but... I gotta say this again. I said it last episode, but here we got to see more of her. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is just knocking out the park, and there's like, you can tell like she loves this. You can tell from her performance in here that this is not a job that she's just showing up to. Like, she definitely wants to play this part. I love that. I think that she's doing a great job.
The post-credit stinger.
The post-credit stinger, which is that, like, hey, Sharon Carter's still doing some stuff, and we're all going to have to see what she does. Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing where Sharon goes in all of this. And they have confirmed that there isn't going to be a season 2, but there's going to be Captain America 4. They're making a 4th Captain America movie, which, I'll be honest with you guys, I kind of would rather have a show. Because I think that this, like, the show, the fact that this thing comes out to being about 4 hours long when you put it all together, that gave them the time to cover as much stuff they want. And as I pointed out before, there's more things I wish that they had covered in here. So yeah, I don't want to see them try and squeeze like a big story like this into 2.5 hours. I would rather.
Well, they like break it into 2 parts like they did with like Endgame.
No. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so now that it's all over, looking back at, there are still some nitpicks that I have. I do kind of wish that, like we said, it kind of bugged me that, like, he hands over the shield, and then it just cuts through. There's a new Captain America. And the guy who is going, your new Captain America, is the same guy who was at the big ceremony where he handed over the shield. And I was like, that dude's got some kind of like a plan. I'm not saying like supervillain. I'm saying like, but he had to have met with someone in some kind of a room going, well, we need a new Captain America. And it needs to be, let's look at all of our candidates and who should be. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you pick Sam to be the new Captain America? Well, you know, we like this guy over here. You know, there's definitely motivations that people behind the scenes had of why they would want a Captain America, why they wouldn't want it to be Sam. And it is kind of upsetting me that like we never really got any kind of a look at that. And at the end of this thing, that same guy comes running up to Sam and calls him Captain America. That would have had a much bigger impact if we had seen like more scenes of that guy talking about how he wants John Walker, not Sam Wilson, like stuff like that. So yeah, kind of, I feel like there is a story behind the scenes there that we didn't see. That's really my only problem with a lot of stuff this season, was just simply, it feels like there's even more stuff going on behind the scenes that would have made this an even bigger, more fleshed out story, but we just didn't get into it. But still, what we did get, I thought was great. I will say, I do think that, I know people love episode 3 with Zemo dancing and all that stuff. But I will admit, I do think that that was kind of the low point of the show, because it went too far away from the, like, that's when it became Sam and Bucky's world traveling adventure.
I guess, but at the same time, I kind of feel that's kind of what the people wanted.
Yeah, there's people out there who want that, I get. Also, it was important to Bucky's character to see him interacting with Zemo. It was important to do that to set up Sharon Carter. So I'm like, all right, it was a necessary episode. It just feels so different from the rest of the episodes. That's my problem with that episode. But yeah, aside from that, love this entire thing. I cannot wait to see like more of these characters. Yeah, and I'm so happy that, yeah, even if the critics didn't enjoy it, I love that the fans really enjoy that. I want you all to remember that for the next thing that we talk about today. But yeah, any final thoughts that you have on this show?
No, I'm looking forward to more Sam.
Yeah, I'm just so happy to see that people like are on board with Sam Wilson's Captain America. That's great. Oh yeah, thank you guys very much. The next Marvel show is Loki, which comes out in June, I think. So we got like a month of nothing. But now movies are starting to like amp up again. So we should have more of these coming out for just the regular movie reviews. Yeah. It's gonna be weird doing those again.
Yeah, like we both got our vaccines. Well, you're gonna get your second.
I've got my first. You've gotten both of yours.
So maybe we'll go to the theaters in the summer.
Yeah, I don't. I ain't prepared to go into town for that. I'm not prepared to get on the subway and go into the city for that. Yeah. But there's a very lovely movie theater on the other side of the park here in Brooklyn that I am totally fine having like a little walk over there too. So yeah, we're just gonna do that now. And if a movie ain't playing there, we ain't seeing it. That's it. But yeah, thank you guys very much. Let us know what you thought about this episode and the entire series in the comments down below. Thanks for tuning in. Bye everybody.
Bye.